Hello everyone, this is Darro here with my top 10 games of 2011. Now, before I get into my top 10, I'm just going to show you some of the games that didn't quite make the cut now and are in my honourable mentions now. And some of these games would probably be in other people's top 10 games of the year now, but just weren't exactly in mine. I did enjoy them, pretty much all of them, so I did, but there's a few, like with the exception of Xenoblade Chronicles, I finished all of them though. I've like gone through the games, but the fact of it is, Xenoblade Chronicles I didn't play enough of to actually put it in my top 10 though, and therefore I can't really give it an overall opinion though, and therefore it's not in the top 10 itself. And Batman Arkham City and Dead Space 2 are omitted because the fact is I didn't play half of those games, and therefore couldn't really put them in here anyway to sort of give an overall opinion, and therefore couldn't put them in here or in my top 10. But if I played through those games, then it probably would, be different now, and it probably would have been in my top 10 maybe easily, because I love both Dead Space and Arkham Asylum. Now, Zelda Skyward Sword, some people might be wondering why that is. You're quite a big Zelda fan, aren't you? I'm not a fan of that game from what I played. I played the first 3 dungeons. I liked the last dungeon, but I'm just not a fan of that game. I don't like the fact it holds your hand a bit too much, and the fact is it shoves things down your throat. It's quite linear, and the dungeon design is just not as fun as it is in previous games. And I'm one of those ones who really love Twilight Princess, yet a lot of people seem to hate that game. I'm not one of them. I love that game. But as I said, some of these games are great that would be in other people's top 10 lists. Gears of War 3, Uncharted 3, Mario 3D Land and the like, and there's some like Shadows of the Damned, El Shaddai, some games there that quite didn't really sell that well, and you pretty much get pretty cheap now. But great games, and I thoroughly recommend checking them out nonetheless. Back to the Future is one of my favourite film trilogies, and when I heard they were going to make a game of it, adventure series of games, like episodic series of it, I was on board. Now I just waited until the full series was out before I actually got my hands on it last summer though, but what I got I was not disappointed with. It's just basically the continuing adventures of Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown, and it takes place 6 months after the events of the final film. And as I say, I enjoyed it pretty much a lot, and that's why it's in the top 10. It takes place mainly in 1930s Hill Valley now, so it does, and of course soon events ensue, and it's up to Marty to sort of save the day once again though. Dr. Emmett Brown, the current day Emmett Brown in this game, is taken to his jail, and it's up to Marty go back and rescue him, and meet all sorts of characters. You meet talent ancestors and like it once again, and it's just a great game throughout. Just some of the different kind of paradoxes that happen just because of the fact that you change certain in the past and certain things happen. You just travel back and forth, and it's just a great game though. And if you're a fan of if you're a fan of the films, I thoroughly recommend checking this game out. I just really enjoyed it at the end of the day. Rayman Origins. I actually haven't finished this game yet though, and people think, why you're just going on about that whole not finishing thing, and yet you haven't on this here. But I played enough of it to warrant a position in my top 10, because I absolutely love this game. This game is great. It is an absolute classic 2D side-scrolling platformer in every sense of the word though. And Rayman is back with a vengeance, because the fact is it's been nearly 10 years since we've actually had a proper Rayman game, because the fact is that all they seem to have done for the past 10 years is just port Rayman 2 to every fucking system there is. Sorry for the little rant there, but I think it was necessary. But I think he's back, and it's just great to see it back, and just what a game to bring back to. A beautiful looking game. The art style is just superb to look at though, and just the way the whole kind of game flows with it, the animation where when you interact with certain objects, with enemies you encounter, and like different abilities you get throughout the game and that there. And I really enjoyed it from from what I've played with thus far. I'm currently still playing it though. I'm getting towards the end, so yeah, I feel. But it's definitely a game that I do not mind having in my top 10 at the end of the day. The soundtrack is quite sublime in that it's a game that makes use of sort of like folk instruments and like chipmunk choirs and like though, and just certain songs in the game are just absolutely great. And I don't know if there's actual official soundtrack released for this game or not though, but if there is, I'll have to go and check it out, because it's just one of those games that just has a very unique soundtrack. It's really enjoyable to listen to at the end of the day, and some of the like themes you hear in the game just fit the level you're playing perfectly though, especially these water theme levels though, where it's kind of a bit more a bit more calm, just sort of mellow or something, and just the music that's played just kind of just fits the mood perfectly though, and it's just a lot of things that make it a great game. Could have had online co-op, but I'm not gonna fault it. Still a great game. Now Bastion, once again, another game that has a very interesting art style to it though, but that's not one of the that is one of the standouts of the game. But another standout, one of the more unique features of this game, is that whatever you do in this game, you're pretty much narrated. Whenever you pick up a new weapon, you're told you got this new weapon in the way. Whenever you die, you're narrated. Whenever you fight certain enemies not there, whenever a new enemy comes about, you're narrated. It's just one of those games that it's a narrated game from start to finish, and that's very cool indeed. In this sort of game, and just pretty much fits the game absolutely perfectly though, in that you play as the kid and you just go around building this bastion to sort of restore the world and prevent another from what happened from the calamity. So it's kind of like set in a kind of a post-apocalyptic world pretty much. And what you get though is a very enjoyable isometric sort of action game with kind of RPG elements. So like you level up, you can get new weapons and like though, you switch different weapons, but it's kind of an action game at the end of the day though. But it's a great game though, a beautiful soundtrack in this is stunning, and thoroughly recommend getting it though, and it's just a beautiful downloadable game at the end of the day. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is one of those games that actually I just really couldn't put down, not put down, but just really just want to see to the end though, because the more you play this game, the more you're just so intrigued and riveted by its story, because of the certain twists and turns that happen in this game. At the start though, you pretty much the start of the game is like you're dead. You play a character that's dead, and you pretty much have to want to unravel the mystery on why you died and why that happened. And the way it works is you go around these certain events though, and some characters die, and you pretty much go back in time to certain few minutes before that character actually died, and prevent it by manipulating with certain objects that are around the area that you're in. And that is very unique though. It's a cool little gameplay mechanic though, and just works very well in this game though. And the narrative in this game is pretty much what kept me into the game. I just wanted to see what happened with the characters and what happened with the main story though. And it's the various twists and turns that you encounter in this game are absolutely great though, especially the twist at the end though, when involving a certain character, which I just could not believe though. I just expected, what? That was it? That was it's just really well done though, and I thoroughly recommend checking this DS game out now. I think it's one of those games that kind of got overlooked though. It came out very early last year though, but definitely worth recommending. That's why it's in my top 10. (2011) I think has been a pretty strong year for downloadable content though, and in terms of another great downloadable game is Outland. I enjoyed it more than Bastion. A lot of people love Bastion though, but I feel I loved Outland, and that might be another game that's kind of gotten overlooked in last year though, just because it's a downloadable game. But considering the fact it's in my top 10 kind of speaks wonders though. I absolutely loved playing this game though. Again, another game that has a very beautiful art style. And that's kind of a sort of, you know, I don't know, again, it's kind of one of my weaknesses. If I see a game that has a lovely art style to it, I'd play it whether it's, you know, not really great or not though. But most of the time, when it has a good art style to it, it's a great game. And Outland is definitely one of those games. It plays very much like Metroid in that you explore different areas, so you do, but you can't access some, and you have to go back when you unlock a certain ability and then go back. And it has a system similar to, you know, Ikaruga, where you can shift between these two different colors, and they help you, you know, navigate through certain areas. You can access certain areas as well without having this right color on you, and certain enemies attack, and you have to, you know, either absorb the attack, or you know, attack them with like the different color to damage them more, or something, whatever, not. And the boss battles in this are very great indeed, especially the last boss battle, which is probably one of the best boss battles of 2011 in my opinion. And the fact is, it's a downloadable game. You're going to get a good adventure at the end of this day. Like, the beautiful art style to it though is this lovely, like, kind of like, you know, kind of like sort of aged looking, sort of kind of, you know, those sort of old looking hieroglyphics, ancient Egyptian kind of sort of style to it though. But it looks beautiful though to look at though. It's just a really beautiful looking game to play, and it's a 5 to 10 hour game, as I say. Just a great game to check out. I am not disappointed. It was probably one of the best purchases I played, especially in terms of downloadable content though, downloadable games. And I feel very much that this is definitely worth picking up at the price that you're paying for.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Portal 2 is of course the follow-up to the excellent Portal that came out back in 2007 with the Orange Box package. And people were probably a bit skeptical at first to say that there was going to be a sequel to this game, because I don't think they were going to say how can this game actually succeed into like a fully flown campaign, like, you know, an 8 to 10 campaign. And well, Valve just gone and done that exactly, and that is why it's in my top 10. Because it is just a great little campaign to play through though, and the fact is the new sort of puzzle elements you experience throughout this game just makes the game just that much more sweet to play through. You know, the different types of gels and the way that you use them though to sort of, you know, rush. You have to sort of like use these like sort of propulsion gels, you know, like slide along and jump up and like things like that, and like, you know, go into the portal and just through these different areas. So, and just pretty much, you know, makes the game that much more delightful though. And the puzzle aspects, they're not going to completely stump you there. They're not really hard though, but there is a few that will say, how do I do this now? How do I navigate this here? What's the best way to solve this here? And then once you figure out, it's like, oh, that was great, that solution worked. And that's one of the things, like, you just feel, you know, happy. You just feel, that's a great reward, just solving this here easily by yourself without, you know, looking up again. And as a co-op, of course, co-op experience, which is just as grand though, with the help of a friend. You just go through these different, you know, puzzles, co-op style, and just very fun to play. And of course your characters are back. GLaDOS is back. Wheatley is a great new addition to the series, and just, you know, the writing, the wit, and, you know, Cave Johnson, you know, the founder of Aperture Science, just great characters, great voice work, just a very well made sequel at the end of the day, and can't go wrong with that. ...2011 had a few surprises in me in terms of games that I actually enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would now. Mortal Kombat is definitely one of those games. Now, I got it when it came out. I did not expect to enjoy this game as much as I thought I would. I enjoy the Mortal Kombat games in the past now, but I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan of them now. But Mortal Kombat was different though, because the fact is that I never actually touched the online in this. I actually haven't played this game in months, and that speaks volumes to the fact is it's still highly in my list though. The fact is, from the time I did play it, I just really couldn't stop playing it though, and it was pretty much a game I played pretty much non-stop for several weeks back in April and May. Because the fact is, it has great just combat, great action, and goes back to its roots in the fact in the story mode, where it retells the events of the first 3 Mortal Kombat games, and you just go through the story with various different characters, you know, like Scorpion, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, you know, Sub-Zero and the like, and just you know, absolutely great game though, and you know, and of course there's a few cheap spots here and there, but still a great game though. Great action, great bloody action. Challenge tower is very fun and addicting to go up the tower and do the different missions. If there's one thing I love about fighting games that has those kind of things, that's why I loved in Soul Calibur. There was a mission mode, and the challenge tower just sort of is kind of like that though, and that's why I love this game. It's definitely one of my favorite fighting games now, and I love it. If I had to sum up Saints Row the Third in just one word, it would be insanity. Because that's exactly what you're going to get in this game, insanity. Because there's just so many ridiculous, crazy things that you'll experience throughout your time in this game. I'm one of those ones who really enjoyed Saints Row 2 more than I did GTA 4, because Saints Row 2 provided me with what I kind of missed from the GTA 4, and that is, you know, the various different activities you could do, the so over the top action, the over the top stuff, the various side stuff, all that things, and I got that. And in Saints Row the Third, I get it even more. I get it tenfold, because there's just so many different ridiculous things that you're going to experience throughout this game, and the gameplay is top notch though. It's pretty much just like Saints Row 2, but improved in certain aspects. The activities are back. There's like some of the activities are back and are fun, and the story in it, like the various events that happen throughout the story, are just absolutely nuts though. It's just a great game though. Co-op is just a blast though. It's definitely one of those games that you definitely have to play just for co-op alone though, because you're just gonna have so much fun playing this with a friend though, and just having loads of fun, just going around causing mayhem, just having your own little playground to just cause absolute chaos and mayhem, and very much a game I loved, and I just couldn't say enough of it. It's just a brilliant game. If you were to tell me this time last year, if Dark Souls ended up being one of my favourite games of 2011, I would say you're crazy. Because, as I did like Demon's Souls, I didn't finish it, I played some of it, but it had its problems. Dark Souls pretty much fixes those problems I had with that game. It is a more streamlined experience in my opinion. But, what it doesn't take away from Demon's Souls, what it still has from what Demon's Souls has, is its difficulty. It is still a hard game. You are going to die a lot in this game, but it's one of those games, you die because you feel you just did something wrong, but the fact is, you want to persevere, you want to beat that boss, you want to get past this area, you want to see this game to its ending though, and that's exactly what made me really addicted to this game. Just the overall world you explore though, these various different areas, these crazy, ugly, disgusting enemies you come across, and just fantastic boss battles just set with epic music behind it, just made this game an absolute joy to play through. And I put 77 hours into this game, 77 hours, and I just got my money's worth. Just a great game though. A game it's not for everyone though. It's one of those love it or hate it games. I loved it though. Online system is just fantastic though. The way you can get evaded by other people, the way you can evade people and kill them, take their souls. You can do co-op as well. You can people can help you to fight certain bosses, and everyone has their own story to tell in this game, and it's just fantastic. And that's why it's in my top 10, number 2. Yes, I think it was inevitable, because the fact of the matter is, this was my most anticipated game of last year, ever since it was announced back in December 2010. And, well, I adore Oblivion. I got my Xbox 360 with Oblivion. And the fact of the matter is, I was really looking forward to this game. And as this is the trailer, it was showing the first trailer, and this trailer just made me pretty much pumped for the game even more. And I could not wait. And I got the game, and I was not disappointed with the game, because the fact is, I absolutely love it. I love Oblivion, and this pretty much improves on nearly everything that Oblivion had. It just has a beautiful open world to explore, and that is the one thing I love about these games. The exploration, the open world, where you can go anywhere and just explore various different caves, various different, areas, like, caves, temples, ruins, cities, houses, anywhere you can pretty much go, and you can just have your own little adventure though. And that's one of the great things about this game as well, is that everyone has their own little adventure, everyone has their own story to tell of this game, and it's pretty much has blown up though, because everyone was talking about this game when it came out though, and people still, a couple of months later, are still talking about this game and just have very fond memories of this game. And I'm sure maybe a year from now, it probably will still be quite a game to play, because a lot of people love it to death. And I absolutely love it, because it just is a great game. It has its haters, it has its bugs, it has its glitches, of course, but that doesn't detract from what makes an amazing experience for me though. And the fact is, I've got the game, I've got the collector's edition, I've got the guide, I've got the soundtrack, and there's very few games that would actually make me go out and get that kind of thing now. But this is one of those games, and I was not disappointed with it whatsoever though. I'm 70 plus hours in the game, I've done a few quest lines, but I feel that I'm just getting into it, that it's just getting into the real meat of the game, just exploring all the various areas I haven't even explored yet, and I can easily spend another 100 or so hours in this game, and all that and more. Great soundtrack, just great graphics, just a beautiful game, great world to explore. That's why this is my favourite game of 2011 at the end of the day.